I've a plant garden running by the door. I've a shelter for the hens, a stable for the ass. And what can a man want more? I don't know, maybe so. And a bachelor is easy and he's free. And I've lots to look after, and I'm living all alone. But there's no one looking after me. Now, me father often tells me I should go and have a try to find a girl who owns a bit of land. I can tell the way he says it, there's someone in his eye. And me mither has the whole thing planned. I don't know, maybe so. It'll qualify them greatly to agree. But this little Bridget Flynn, it's her I'd like to win, if she'd only throw an eye to me. Now there's a little girl who is worth her weight in gold, and that's a decent dowry, don't you see? And I mean to go and ask as soon as I get bold, if she'll only throw an eye to me. I don't know, will she go? And I'd like to have her sitting on me knee. Oh, I'd sing like a thrush on a hawthorn bush, if she'd only throw an eye to me. I don't know, will she go? And I'd like to have her sitting on me knee. Oh, I'd sing like a thrush on a hawthorn bush, if she'd only throw an eye to me. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming out tonight to our study of Percy French. So let's move right along. There's Percy himself. And there we are in 1911. So William Percy French was born in 1854 at Cluny Quin, County Roscommon. 9 children, 4 boys and 5 girls, were born in Cluny Quin House. William Percy was the second son of Christopher French and his wife, Susan Emma. As a boy, Percy enjoyed his idyllic surroundings, where his fertile imaginations, which was to prove such an asset, had full range. The son of a landlord and the grandson of a clergyman was not the most likely person to become a popular writer of Irish songs, considering the times, but that is what young Willie became. He was not known as Percy until his professional stage days. As Percy himself said, "In my boyhood days, my sole object in life was to see how little I could learn and how much I could idle." Looking back on those peaceful days, it seems that nowhere in the world were there more pleasant meadows and more mysterious underwoods or lovelier flowers than at old Cluny Quin. A very small stream ran through one of the home meadows, and what pageants have passed before me on that beloved pond. Hanno the Carthaginian has sailed forth without chart or compass over that unknown sea. On those placid waters, the Spanish Armada, pushed up by Philip II in person, has gone forth to its doom. Columbus, lashed to the mast of a clockwork steamer, had peered anxiously across that watery waste, and on that shore the great Napoleon Bonaparte, his flat-bottomed fleet awaiting a favorable breeze, has moodily eating bread and jam, while scowling at the dim coast that was never to own his sway. But it was during his formative years that the French estate in Cluny Quin was becoming run down, and it was obvious that this young boy would eventually have to go out into the world and earn his own living. Retrospection. A boat upon the billow, a bird upon the wing, a boy upon a bicycle, sailing through the spring, listening in the greenwood for strangers in the scrub, cows, a herd of buffalo, a cat, a tiger cub. The lonely curlew calling meant a maiden in despair, and the rustling of the rabbit was the advent of a bear. Could I find again the woodland where I loved to lie and dream, while the dragonflies were dancing to the rippling of the stream? I'd give up all the world has brought and all that it may bring, to be that merry boy again, sailing through the spring. There's Cluniquin House, the birthplace. Here's Percy with his cousin. He entered Trinity College, Dublin in 1872 to study civil engineering. Here, instead of focusing on academic matters, he began to develop his remarkable talents for songwriting, dramatics, banjo playing, and watercolor painting. Not unexpectedly, he was soon an integral part of the social life of Trinity, ever ready to entertain at parties and smokers. After an unusually long number of years, he emerged from the university with an engineering qualification. He described his farewell to Trinity like this: "Eventually, I was allowed to take out my Bachelor of Arts and Civil Engineering degrees. I believe the board were afraid I would apply for a pension if I stayed any longer at Trinity College, Dublin." The Mountains of Mourne. He wrote in 1896 what is probably his most famous song, The Mountains of Mourne, and he set the lyrics to his collaborator, Dr. Houston Collison, a well-known figure in Irish circles. French said, "Looking at the range of the Mourne Mountains from Skerry on a clear afternoon, I found myself repeating, 'The mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea.' This line kept recurring to me till one day it wedded itself to an old Irish air, and the combination seemed so happy that I set to work, or rather shut myself in my top room with pen in, ink and paper, and waited. Presently, the idea entered my head that such a refrain might be sung by an exile from Erin. Here's The Mountains of Mourne.
Street with one wave of his hand, and
But if at those roses you venture to sip, the color might all come away on your lip. So I'll wait for the wild rose who's waiting for me, where the mountains of morn sweep down to the sea. Celestial painting, sunset at Renville, Connemara. These are all his paintings. When painters leave this world, we grieve for the hand that will work no more. But who can say that they rest always on that still celestial shore? No, no, they choose from the rainbow hues, and winging from paradise, they come to paint, now bold, now faint, the tones of our sunset skies. When I see them there, I can almost swear that gray is from Whistler's brain, that crimson flush is Turner's brush, and the gold is Claude Lorraine. In 1908, songs were flowing from his pen, and they were also being published. There was McBreen's Heifer, Whistlin' Phil McHugh, The Darling Girl from Clare, Father O'Callahan, and Eileen Ogue. I'm actually not going to sing Eileen Ogue, because though it is a charming, it's a beautiful song praising the beauty of a woman, I want to sing another song that's rarely done, and it's from the point of view of a young girl who's just finished school. This is, I don't know. I'm simply surrounded by suitors since Dahmed fortune in land. They're coming like flocks of the plovers to ask for me hand. There's clerks and policemen and teachers, hair sandy or black as a crow. Ma says you get used to the creatures, but I don't know. The fonder they grow, the more I don't want them about me, but I don't know. The convent is in a commotion to think of me taking a spouse, and wonder I hadn't the notion of taking the vows. It's a beautiful life and a quiet and keeps you from going below. As a girl, I thought I might try it, but I don't know. The sisters, they show an example we all ought to follow, but I don't know. I've none but myself to look after, and marriage, it fills me with fears. I think I'd have less of the laughter and more of the tears. I'll not be a slave like me mother, with 6 of them all in a row. Even one little baby's a bother, but I don't know. When they give, we grow and reach little hands out to greet you, but I don't know. There's a boy that has taken my fancy, they say he's a bit of a limb. Though marriage is terrible chancy, I'll chance it with him. He's coming tonight, how I tingle from the top of me head to me toes. I'll tell him I'd rather live single, but I don't know. I think I'll bestow my hand on that mitre and spalpeen, but I don't know. tennis club in County Cavan, his rustic ramblings in County Cavan also reawoke his love of watercolor painting, and this pursuit took up much of his spare time. He even managed to start a sketching club, and with the collaboration of some enthusiastic locals, devised an amateur minstrel company called the Kinney Pottle Comics, a title inspired by Little Kinney Pottle Stream, which flowed through the town of Cavan. Percy French was about to emigrate to Manitoba, Canada in 1883 when he obtained a post earning £300 a year and traveling expenses on a government drainage scheme in County Cavan. So, having bought a new set of banjo strings and a tennis racket at age 28, he moved to Cavan. Here, the self-styled inspector of drains found scope to develop his interest in music and drama, whilst a series of spectacular sunsets fueled his enthusiasm for watercolor painting. The Jarvie, 1890. After 7 years on his job as inspector of drains, he was given the sack. He returned to Dublin, and for want of other employment, acted for a period as editor of a weekly comic paper called The Jarvie. Of the innumerable contributions of new and original stories and poems, he wrote them himself, but wrote under the nom de plume Will Wagtail. The Jarvie magazine started with no capital whatsoever, and the idea was to pay the artists and writers out of the profits from the first month. At the end of the first month, there were no profits. At the end of the second month, there were no writers or artists. Etty, Ray of Sunshine. By this time, Percy was in his 30s, and no great love, let alone marriage, had managed to lure him from his bohemian bachelor independence. However, towards the end of the decade, the scene altered, when he fell in love with the very beautiful and petite Ethel Kathleen Armitage Moore, to whom he always referred as his little ray of sunshine. He had met her at a tennis party. Her home was Arranmore, just outside Cavan. Here's at the time of their marriage. In 1890, French, now aged 36, married Etty in St. Stephen's Church, Dublin. They honeymooned at Castle Howard, Avoca, County Wicklow. They married on the strength of his income as editor, and a happier and more hopeful couple cannot be imagined. Etty, never one to prepare for the rainy day, and since the demise of his weekly comic magazine, The Jarvie, the early months of 1891 were indeed hard for the unemployed Percy and his young, fragile, and by now pregnant wife, Etty. By June, her health was visibly failing, and on the day following their first wedding anniversary, his tender little Etty died in childbirth at the age of 20. Their baby only survived a few weeks. This dual loss was heartbreaking, for he worshipped his young wife, and he loved children. Gortnamona. After his wife's death, Percy disappeared into the country for a while, and later moved to Baldoyle, northeast of the city of Dublin. The poem Gortnamona was later set to music. Long, long ago, in the woods of Gortnamona, I thought the birds were singing in the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was my heart that was ringing, ringing, ringing.
weeping, weeping for my love who is sleeping far away from me. Long, long ago, in the woods of Gortnamona, I thought the bird was singing in the blackthorn tree. But oh, it was my heart that was ringing, ringing, ringing with the joy that you were bringing, oh my love, to me.
L'envoi, I guess. Only the seabird now its way may wing from crested wave to crest, and great cloud galleons in the azure swing. After life's battle, they are murmuring, there shall be rest. The long lost glories of life's fairyland more nearly gleam, and joys that years ago two lovers planned seem to the watcher on that lonely strand not all a dream. Although he never talked about the death of his first wife, it's quite likely that this tragic loss inspired some of his pathetic poems, as he called them. Only good night, and not lost but gone before. Only good night. Only good night, sweetheart, and not farewell, though for all time thou art where angels dwell. Though for a time those eyes lose their soft light, let there be no goodbyes, only good night. Though for a time they toll thy passing bell, 'tis but good night, sweet soul, and not farewell. Or thy sweet lips I sigh, lips cold and white. There, that is not goodbye, only good night. Not lost but gone before. Once, only once upon a time, we heard the bells of fairy chime, and through the golden nights and days they sang their elfin roundelays. The world and we were in our prime, once, only once upon a time. Has fairyland forever flown? The darkness falls on me alone, for on my sweet companion's eyes there shines the light of paradise. The heights of joy I cannot climb, as we did once upon a time. O loved one of the far away, I know that we shall meet someday, and once again walk hand in hand through all the realms of fairyland, and heaven's own harp around us chime as they did once upon a time. Come Back, Patty Riley to Me. With the collaboration of Dr. Collison, Percy wrote a musical called Strongbow, which was a comical, get this, a comical look at the conquest of Ireland by England. Now that's a hilarious subject. The musical was a failure, but Percy declared it to be a success. I think I missed, there he is with his second wife. To be a success because he met his second wife, Helen Sheldon, as she had a part in the musical. Let us sing Come Back, Patty Riley. The Garden of Eden has vanished, they say, but I know the lie of it still. Just turn to the left at the bridge of Finney and stop when halfway to Coot Hill. 'Tis there you will find
the sea. Come back, Patty Riley, to Valley James. Come home, Patty Riley, to me. The night that we danced by the light of the moon, with Phil to the fore with his flute, when Phil threw his lip over "Come again soon," you dance the foot out of your boot. The day that I took Long McGree by the scruff for slander and Rosie Kilrain, and marched him right out of Bally James stuff and assisted him into a drain. Oh, sweet are the dreams if my Dudine I puff still whispers, "Come over the sea." Come back, Patty Riley, to Bally James stuff. Come home, Patty Riley, to me. Play it, Michael. For the bells will be ringing in Bally James stuff for me and me Rosie Kilrain. And all through their glamour, their gas and their guff, the whispers come over the sea. Come back, Patty Riley, to Bally James stuff. Come home, Patty Riley, to me.
Here is Percy with 2 daughters, and Lenny with 3 daughters, and with daughter, there's the 3 daughters, Lenny and daughters, Eddie, Molly, and Joan. You might notice that Molly is one of the people who have set some of his poems to music, if you read your notes in your program. And here's his daughter, Eddie, in Brittany. In 1899, ever in demand, he appeared in every Irish town of note. His name on a concert program always attracted a crowd. Here are the towns. When we go back, there he is. All the towns he played in Ireland. So I'm about to invite a couple of people to stage with me, but I'm looking out in the crowd and I see some wonderful people who've had such a welcome for me into the Irish music community in Chicago. And I see Mrs. John O'Grady sitting right there. He was one of the first who helped me. My friend Katie O'Shea, my very first Irish friend in Chicago. And one of my current friends, Jimmy Moore, is going to come up and play the flute for us for Phil the Fluter's Ball. And a brand new friend just tonight, Peter Brady. I've known him for years, but of course. Come on over here. There you go. Come on, you be here. You be over there by the music. There we go.
We're new at this.
Yeah, right. So, yeah. Percy's time in County Cavan provided inspiration for 2 of his greatest songs, was practicing Phil the Fluter's Ball earlier, and Peter Brady remembered every word I forgot, so I just said, come up and sing it with me. So, and Phil the Fluter's Ball and Slattery's Mounted Foot. Phil the Fluter was the local flute player, and he tells the story of how he paid his rent. I gave a ball, said Phil, and when I give a ball, I clear out me cabin, lock up any food or drink in the cupboard. Then I put me hat behind the door. The neighbors come in, bringing their own suppers with them, and each putting a shilling or two in the hat. I cock me leg over the dresser, throw me top lip over the flute, and poot her away like a hat full of larks. And there they stay, leppin' like hares till 2 in the morning. So here is Phil the Fluter's Ball. It has a chorus. Here, just in case we get scared.
That's for me?
It's for any of us. And this has a chorus too. A lot of words in it. You can do it. I know you can.
Have you heard the fluter from the town of Ballymun? The times were getting hard with him, in fact the man was one. So he sent an invitation to his neighbours one and all, as to how he'd like their company that evening at the ball. When writing out he was careful to suggest to them, if they found a hat to his convenient to the door, the more they put in, whenever he requested them, the better would the music be for better. When he tipped on the flute, twiddle on the fiddle, and hopping in the middle like a hare on the wall. Hands were all across to the wall, and we the gaiety of Phil the Fluter's Ball. Doherty who kept the running dog, and lit the crooked paddy from the turtle of the bog. There were boys from every barney and girls from every art. The beautiful Miss Brady's in their private assy cart. Along with them came bouncing Mrs. Cafferty. Little Mickey Mulligan was also to the fore. Rose, Suzanne, and Margaret O'Rafferty, the flower of our William and the pride of Peterborough. When you tipped down the flute, twiddle on the fiddle, and hopping in the middle like a hare. Jumped in to show them how, and then the way the Cafferty stepped up to take a bow. I danced the legs right off for you, as sure as you were born. If you'd only had the piper play, the hare was in the corn. Philip played up to the best of his ability. Ladies and the gentlemen begin to do their share. Fit now, Mick, 'tis you that have agility. Begorry, Mrs. Cafferty, you're leaping like a hare. When you took down the flute, twiddle on the fiddle, and hopping in the middle like a hare. Hands around across to the wall, and the gaiety of Phil the Fluter's Ball. Phil the Fluter tipped a wink to little crooked patter. Begods to see, I think it's time for passing round the hat. Paddy passed the cobbin round, looking mighty cute, saying you have to pay the piper when you tookers on the flute. They all jumped in with the greatest joviality, covering the buckle and the shuffle and the cup. Shakespeare danced up the very finest quality, the wind with the company when handling the flute. When he took down the flute and the twiddle on the fiddle, hopping in the middle like a hare. Hands around across to the wall, and the gaiety of Phil the Fluter's Ball. Fiddle on, hopping in the middle like a hare. Hands around across to the wall, and the gaiety of Phil the Fluter's Ball.
That was complete serendipity. Thank you so much. That was so much fun. And then I got to dance. Speaking of dancing, many of my Irish dancing colleagues are here who welcomed me into the set dance and Cayley community, and that's, thank you, welcome, the one and all. So nice to see you. Here we go. Oh, there's the cover of the published Phil the Fluter's Ball. So there he is, the watercolorist. So a painting of Percy French by Connie Tyrell Lewis, Etty's stepsister. In spite of his many talents, he always considered painting his forte. Percy French at his painting. He was a prolific painter and often paid for his room and board with his paintings. Not known for a desire to accumulate money, he sometimes just gave the paintings to friends and acquaintances. When he'd be out painting in the countryside all alone, this is a poem called The Kindly Welcome. Ah, 'twill only be a shower, though the wind is from the west. Just come in for half an hour and give yourself a rest. And was that what you were sketching? Just the turf stack and the winds? And your death a cold you're catching? Oh, Marianne, put out them hens. And that picture, do you say now you could sell for 30 bob? Still, this painting in a way now is a very lonesome job. Oh, now you're welcome, honey, to that little sup like that. Is it to be taking money for what wouldn't feed the cat? Untitled, but it is of a sunset. He grew up to the bogs and the mountains and the great skerries of Ireland. He said the wonderful sunsets over Loch Sheelin, County Cavan, completely bowled him over. Inishmeela, watercolor. I can only see the moonbeam on that Inishmeela floats, but if I slept inside the fairies' ring, I'd see them sailing in their little silver boats, and I'd hear the songs that little people sing. For the ferryman has told me of what happened there one day, when he woke to find them dancing on the shore, and still he hears them singing, though 'tis faint and far away, and he wishing he was with them evermore. I've seen the Queen of Fairyland. I've heard her wondrous song. With her to heights of happiness I've flown. Now I know the days are weary. Now I know the nights are long. For the one I love has left me all alone. Inishmeela, Inishmeela, there's a sleep that knows no dream. And it's in that dreamless slumber I shall be. For I know that I shall waken by some celestial stream, and through the golden light she'll come to me. Evening in Ackle. Oh, there's Inishmeela again. That's nice with the fog. An evening in Ackle. I'm just going to tell you a story about Ackle Island. So when I was one of the first with Bridget O'Grady, I was in Ireland, and it was the first time I'd ever sung, as I was invited to a ceilidh with the O'Grady family and the whole community on Ackle Island, and I was singing She Moved Through the Fair, and I was very nervous to be asked to sing an Irish traditional song in front of Irish people. And I was kind of nervous, and as I was singing, I sort of felt this mist come up from the ground at the end of it, and I couldn't figure out what, and it would go in and would come up again. And what I realized after I wasn't nervous anymore is that everybody in the whole place was singing the last line of the song with me. Because the song is a shared community thing. And so I always think of that when I think of Ackle Island and you. 12 Pins, County Galway, Connemara, County Galway. The 12 Connemara, the 12 Pins. Connie. No, oh, the North Antrim Bog. That's beautiful. What a silly thing to say, they've all been beautiful. On the Erith, County Galway, it was a beautiful watercolorist. Imagine, Ackle Sound. The island of my dreams. The London sky is dull and gray. A storm of sleet and rain is beating dismally today upon my window pane. On wings of fancy, let me stray to summer shores again. Once more the fresh Atlantic breeze its friendly greeting cries. Afar across the azure seas the cliffs of Achill rise, and cloudlands' countless pageantries sweep through the sunlit skies. The distance fills with misty hills, alternate gleam and gloom. I see again the purple plain, bestarred with golden broom, whilst at my feet the meadow sweet pours forth its faint perfume, when along the Achill Sound the summer sunset gleams, and when the heather bells are found beside the mountain streams, I'll seek thy shore and live once more, O island of my dreams. The next piece is about, there's an immigrant letter, and there's the response to the immigrant letter. And so I'm going to ask Jimmy Moore to come up again and give you a tune called Cuttin' the Corn in Creeshla the Day. So the immigrant letter was written in 1910 on board a transatlantic steamer on its way to North America. The steamer set out from Cove, down in County Cork in the bottom, where it took on the inevitable immigrants. Hang on. There we go. Percy said the inspiration for the tune came when he heard a remark between two young lads on the ship as they watched the coast of Ireland gradually receding into the distance. You know, Mick, they'll be cutting the corn in Creeshla the day. Here's Jimmy Moore. To the immigrant's letter, called Katie Ryan. Oh girls, there's come a letter from the boy who sailed away 2 years ago and better to that land beyond the say. Pat Malone has made his fortune. We're to meet him on the strand, for across the sea he's marching to the old town land. To the old town land, 'tis as if a fairy wand had doubled all the sunshine in the old town land. He's to build a house and slate it, for he says he's made his pile, and 'twill be all decorated in the very best of style. There'll be an upper story, all the boys will lend a hand, till it rises in its glory in the old town land. In the old town land, the garden, understand, there won't be such another in the old town land. There's a postscript to the letter that's lying next me heart, and I like that bit the better than all the other part. P.S. Tell Katie Ryan 'tis the house for her I planned since the day I left her crying in the old town land. In the old town land. Oh, don't you understand? I'm the only Katie Ryan in the whole town land. Up for some comic relief. Ski jumping. So there's the original. The crowd, and then look what happens on the way down. Alpine scene. The Ghost of Ypres. Trinidad in the West Indies. He toured all over the world. He entertained in England, Switzerland, Canada, and the West Indies. He made a lengthy visit to America and returned with a well-filled purse as a reward for his labors. Unfortunately, the person to whom he entrusted the investment of the money defaulted. Since he had absolutely no comprehension of the value of money, French took the matter in his usual philosophical spirit. Evening. French was 30 when he was first attracted to landscape painting. There's Grey Wolf Wave, it's untitled, sorry. Bogland. Loch Swilly, Grey Wolf Wave at dawn. He enjoyed the wonderful sunsets over Loch Sheelin, County Cavan, and tried to capture in paint the colors which were due to volcanic dust from the 1880s. All these make me want to sing a song. Probably I know. Untitled Bogland. End of the holiday. Percy French is the interpreter of still life, land, and sea skyscape in Western Ireland. Here are French's stage quick changes. French's partner, May Laffin. In later years, he worked mainly alone, but there were times he worked with various partners, such as Florence Marks and May Laffin. Another song is coming up for you to sing. The West Clare Galway Railroad. In County Clare ran the little narrow gauge railway, the West Clare Railway, which went from Ennis to Kilkee, was used regularly by Percy, as he loved that part of Ireland. The train was seen many a time, having already moved out into the station to stop and reverse back again as some late arrival had appeared on the platform. I don't know if on your feed you saw recently that just happened at the Dublin airport. The bus was going to head off and somebody was late getting through customs and they went out and asked the bus to wait for them. So it still happens in places. There was a certain Michael Talty, employed by the company for many years. Probably was the inspiration for Percy's song, Are Ye Right There, Michael? It seems that the train was speeding through the countryside one day when it suddenly and very abruptly pulled up, miles from civilization. Someone poked his head out the window and said, What's wrong, Michael? Ah, there's an old cow on the line, came the reply. Eventually the train moved off, and for over half an hour happily puffed its way through the countryside. Suddenly, it came to halt once again. What's wrong, Michael? Yelled the same passenger. Is there another cow on the line? No, says the redoubtable Michael. It's the same cow. So this great song that Percy wrote, Are You Right There, Michael, Are You Right? Tells the story, kind of not a very flattering, a charming and hilarious, but not very flattering story of the railroad. So they decided to sue him for slander. So on the day that his court date came, and he was late. And the judge said, Why are you late to your court date? He said, Your Honor, I took the West Clare Railway. So the case was dismissed. Right there, Michael, are you right? Do you think that you'll be ready for the night? Oh, you couldn't be so certain, so you might know, Michael, so you might. You find out where the engine's been hiding. It drags you to sweet Corofin. Says the guard, back her down by the siding. There's goods from Kilrush coming in. Perhaps it comes in 2 hours. Perhaps it breaks down on the way. If it does, says the guard, be the powers. You're here for the rest of the day. And as you sit and curse your luck, the train
sticks. And as you're breaking bits off trees, you'll hear some wise remarks like these. Are ye right there, Michael? Are ye right? Do you think that you could get the fire to light? Oh, an hour you require, for the turf it might be drier. Well, it might I keep stepping on his solo, I'm so sorry. Kilkee, oh, you'll never get near it. You're in luck if the train brings you back. For the permanent way is so queer, it spends most of its time off the track. Uphill the old engine is climbing, while the passengers push with a will. You're in luck when you reach and it's time, and for all the way home is downhill. And as you're wobbling in the dark, you'll hear the guard make this remark. Are ye right there, Michael? Are ye right? Do you think that you'll be there before the light? Oh, well, ye might now, Michael, so it might. Well done. A deep sadness at the troubles of his beloved Ireland, that his beloved Ireland was undergoing in 1916, coupled with setbacks in his health, had taken much of the spring from his step. Setting off for a concert in Bray from Blackroot Station, Dublin, the train he was boarding began to move away from the platform. He attempted to jump on the moving train, missed, and lost his footing, only to be dragged along the platform for some distance until the train stopped. I know, and it's a good lesson for us all. Let it go. Catch the next one. Friends who saw him after that episode believe his decline started with that accident. But his irrepressible outlook was not dimmed, and he continued touring throughout Ireland. He managed to wend his way through 27 venues in a month of 31 days. French's biographer, Alan Tongue, had a map of Ireland on the wall of his office with a red dot marking every concert venue. The effect was that of a large dog whose entire body was covered by measles. No city, town, village, or parish in Ireland was left unvisited. The hard realities of life must have forced themselves upon him several times, but he fortified himself against them, wrapping himself in a cloak of dreams. There was much of the immortal child about him to this very end. Is Theresa Choske here tonight? Anybody see her? Well, I have Theresa Choske to thank. I saw her do this program and I thought, oh, I want to sing all those songs and read all those poems. So she was very generous and lent this to me, so I wanted to thank her. I wanted to thank everyone again, our surprise guest artists. That was really fun. And to see dear friends from all my walks of life, classical music, folk music, talking with people, friends. Anyway, thank you all so much. Students, thank you. Thank you all so much for coming. We do have one last sing-along. It's just the final chorus, right? Here we go.